Hi, I'm Kay Mullett and I'm a visual artist. I've been very lucky and received a grant from Wychavon District Council for the Looking In, Reaching Out project. So normally I'm a ceramic artist and I make things out of clay which then go and get fired in a kiln. Unfortunately at the moment, due to the situation with COVID-19, I'm unable to access my normal kiln, so I've had to think of different ways of approaching my artistic practice. With this project, I have been able to record 2 videos. One video is about the making of an animation and the other video is just a short animation using clay figures, and I've had some really great fun. So the aim of this video is just to talk you through some of my journey in creating an animation. It's a stop motion animation. It's the very first one I've ever done, made. It's been great fun to do and I've learnt a lot, and that's what I'd like to share with you. Some of that and some of the interesting things I found, and then afterwards also the animation, which I hope you enjoy. I hope that you feel after this that you're able to have a go at creating something of your own, either out of clay or as an animation. This is really about having a go and experimenting and seeing what you can make and how fun it can be. I've tried to use equipment that I have at home, so I've used a phone and various other bits and pieces set and stage that hopefully you'll just be able to find at home, so you can have some fun at this too. So here is my video on how to make beautiful small things, which was my animation that I made, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Here are some of the things that I used to create my animation. So some cardboard, some cloth, I used a little script that I wrote, and I used some fairy houses and a lighthouse that I had made from ceramics and fire previously. Also normal household lighting, and I bought a small tripod from the internet with a Bluetooth shutter, which means you don't have to touch your camera when you're recording. I also made props before I started, so you can see those here in these pictures. One of the best bits about this project is that I get to work with clay again. Just a lovely, fantastic medium. So creative, so versatile, and you haven't got any of those restrictions maybe you have with drawing and painting, where there is a particular way to use something. So the other thing I like about clay, it's very therapeutic, so you need to knead it. Sometimes you can throw it. Sorry, my camera's jogging there. And yeah, generally have a good play with it. So this is slightly different because I'm only modelling. I'm not going to be firing these things. Yeah, so I've just had quite good fun just making creatures. So you can do all sorts of things with clay. If you roll it round in your hand like this, you can make a lovely ball, and this can be a good start for making any kind of model or creature. So part of what I've enjoyed with this is normally you would have to hollow out the clay if you were going to fire it, but in this situation where I'm just modelling with it, I'm able just to roll it out into a ball shape or whatever shape. So I think I'm making a body here. So I've not got in my head any specific idea about anything that I'm going to actually make. I'm just going to let it come from the clay and grow with the bits of clay and things that I have here. So you could use, if you haven't got clay, you could use plasticine as well. And then I'm just thinking maybe I'm making a body shape. So as I roll it between my hands, I'm thinking, oh, how will my body shape be? So it might be a bit heavier down at the bottom and a bit lighter at the top. So I might press my hands together a bit more to get it a bit pointier at the top. So rolling it round and then pressing and squeezing a bit more. See, I've got a sort of cone shape now. And then I might just pat the bottom there to make that stand out. And then I can smooth the clay with my fingers, just gently to get rid of any cracks and things. So a key thing with clay, and something that's been a bit of a challenge with making an animation, is that it will dry out. So in the heat and in your hot hands, it will dry out. So you have to kind of reach a balance where you touch it and handle it, which is lovely, but don't touch and handle it too much so that it dries out. Some of the drying out effects can be quite attractive to look at, so as it starts to crack. It does just depend on what sort of maker you are and how you like to use your clay. So as you can see, I've got a sort of body for a creature coming here, which is rather nice. I think I might need, I don't know if I might add some features. So, or I might put the legs on, so I'm just thinking which is the best way around to do it. So features are more delicate, maybe should go towards the end, so I need to squash maybe some legs on there. So put the body down for a minute and then think about how I'm going to make some legs. So maybe do the same again, a lot of rolling around, rolling about. Now I don't want my legs too thin, so if I make them kind of, oh, this is like a dog's leg, there's another dog's leg. And I try and the dog has 4 legs, so I split those up. And I try and stick these spindly things under my body. Now my body is quite heavy, so these spindly little legs are not going to hold up my body. Okay, so those are nice looking legs, but what you have to do with clay is you have to think about how you're going to support it. So usually a good way to do it is to perhaps make your legs a bit more chunky, so your creature might become more cartoon-like. So you might need to make it a bit more chunky. So a nice, steady, thick leg. There we go. And that's going to hold it in place for you. That's going to actually support this creature that you're trying to make. So if you were making something with 4 legs, for instance, so you're wondering, how would I do my dog? You have 2 nice chunky thick legs at the front. So basically it starts to support itself. If you don't want to have big thick chunky legs, think about where the dog or the animal, the creature is standing, and create a base for it in which you could encourage the legs sort of to come out of that base. So of course they don't have to be as thick as this. I've exaggerated in showing you, but it does need to be able to support the body. Okay. So another interesting thing with doing the animation is normally I would really well join these things really well for firing. But with doing the animation, I have to be able to press things together. If you're finding that the clay is drying out a bit and you're not able to press things together so well, you could use a little bit of water to go on there. You could also spray with water, spray your creature with water, just to keep it nice and moist, so it's not drying out too much. Okay, so that's kind of the four legs. I might put some little feet on the front of there. So let's have a look at how we're doing that. So you don't need any particular tools, you just mould with your hands. If you have got clay tools or things that you've used with Play-Doh, you can get those out and use those. So you might have some nice textury things that you can use. I have used just a pencil to create some of my things on there. Okay, so there's a bit of a feature in the feet. To make eyes, a good way of making eyes is to just press your fingers in. Now, depending on the size of the eye, so you're making an eye socket, so it just presses in a little bit, so it gives you a bit of a dimple to start making your eye in. It gives you a place where you could put a nose, depending on what sort of thing you're making. But just so that's too big, that eye, so I might break that down a bit. Press him on. So generally when you're using clay anyway, just make sure you're pressing things on and they're joining nice. So I've got a bit of cracking there, and I might use that as part of my pattern. I'm going to put in here, I think I'm going to put a little dot in there, try and bring my eyes out. So you can do anything you like. I'm going to put maybe some little eyelashes going around. It seems to be wanting a little face there, so I'm just trying to grow this as I go along. I'm not trying to pre-think it too much, it's just about having a bit of fun. And I might create a few of these. It's got a little funny mouth there that seemed to fit in with it. I'm just going to give him a bit of a smooth nose. What should nose be like? Nose could just be a couple of these again. Kind of feel like it needs Maybe it's got a tongue. Maybe it's got a tongue coming out. It's a little tongue coming out of a cheeky mouth, so I'm going to use my pencil again. So you can see you don't need lots and lots of specialist equipment to do this. Just a bit of clay or a bit of plasticine and a bit of imagination. So just have a go. I'll have some fun with that tongue, won't I? And you literally just keep playing with it until it looks right. So do remember, with anything that kind of sticks out, that's going to be more susceptible to drying off. Not quite so much with plasticine, but it is going to be susceptible to drying off during an animation. So make sure it's well attached. What I did find useful when I was making my animation was that I made 2 models. So I had one model that I was animating and another model that was a reference model, so I knew roughly what my model was to look like. So I'm just adding some little ears here. So that's going on the side there, and I think it's starting to look a bit finished. It's looking like a bit fun. I think it needs some arms. So again, with the arms, try not to make them too thin. And if you can have them into the body a bit, that does help. And let's just flatten out a bit for a hand. Stick that on there. Another little arm in here. So it's really just a bit of time and your imagination. You could put some fingers in there. And there he is, my little creature that I've made with clay. And I'm just going to use my favourite new toy, which is this Bluetooth shutter, just to stop this video. Here is my set, and I've used this to show you the lighting. Firstly, 1 light, then 2 lights. These are just ordinary household lights. The second light helps to minimise the shadows. Make sure you mark where you've placed them. I also found that I needed to mark where I had put my tripod, so that when I came back to filming, having left it, I would be in exactly the same place. I used a stop motion animation on my phone. It was an app, it's very easy to download, mostly free. Special things you did have to pay a small amount of money for, like a green screen. I set up my set and staging. You could focus and put your picture and get everything right in the right place. When you come back to filming, there is a feature called onion skin along with the app, which means you can see where everything was before you went away. So on the previous frame, this enables you to match up the coming frames. Frame rate is quite important when doing this. I took 3 pictures and had a frame rate of 8 per second. Here is a green screen. This is fun, but I didn't feel it fitted with my animation. Hope you've enjoyed this video of making beautiful things. Have a go at home. Have a go at making your own animation. It's brilliant fun, and you never know what's going to come out and how it will grow and change as you make it. Do have a look at my link to the video, the animation that I made, and enjoy your own. Thank you. Bye bye.